It is truly a shame that that's what this board is being used for. I don't know if you can tell, but this is the edge of the grain, these individual lines here. This is not a flat sawn board. This is a quarter sawn board. And that is truly an incredible piece of work. But unfortunately, that's not what its life is going to be now, is something pretty or something that gets to be seen. It gets to continue to be structural, which it already was, so choices, and then you put it in place. If we look at that, I don't know if you guys will be able to see this. You can see just how fine the grain is on this. That's just truly quality. Well, for pine anyway. I apologize, I don't know what if that actually got captured. The camera keeps overheating on me today. It's crazy hot. Okay, so we got this in. We've got it driven to where it should be. But we don't have our final board in that we want to rest the new flooring on. So what we need to do on this is we need to make sure that with our total height, this is where the height of our sill plate is when we're finished. Now inside the wall, that's not going to matter. But on the outside, we're a ½ inch low on this entire wall. This entire wall is 1/2 inch out of plane with the rest of what we have. And I double checked that with the laser just a little while ago. So, what do we do? So, what we need to do is bring our surface layer to within 1/4 of an inch of the top of this. And then we can go back in and reblock this wall with 2x4s or 2x6s, whichever it ends up being, so that our drywall, if we use drywall screws will hit a stud here at the bottom or a layer at the bottom, so that we can attach our drywall and our trim and everything else that goes down at the bottom. And we've got just a whole bunch of messes here in the wall that I haven't addressed yet. I don't like it, but it is what it is for right now. So we will go and fix that when we get the chance. I think we're going to call that good for right now because I don't have the size board that I would need for this, I think. Let me check. Well, my apologies. I keep looking over and the camera has turned itself off and has a heat code error. So we've got our next board. This will be the one that the plywood actually sits on. This sets our true level. So I'm spending quite a bit of time getting this exactly right all the way across. The wood is unfortunately not as quality as I would like, but it's the wood I've got, so I'm working with it. So I've got it perfectly level there, but I've got a spot here where it dips down. I don't know if you can see that. About a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch, somewhere in there. So I've got a 4-inch screw on that end, 4-inch screw on that end. We're going to lift this up a little bit, and I'm going to be doing this mostly with screws throughout the entire house. Some of them are going to be very special screws. A lot of them are just going to be 3.5 inch or 2.5 inch, depending on what we're working with. Deck screws, you can buy them from Lowe's. $119 a bucket. Yeah, I know, $119 a bucket. That's crazy. But they're fantastic screws. Screws have 6 times the holding strength that nails do. And if you look at like Project Farm and a number of others, they've pretty solidly debunked the shear test. I've been able to tear most of this in here apart with the hammer and pry bar and bare hands, and I cannot say that I've ever been able to do that with something that was put together with these types of screws. So I'm going to go with what works, what I know, and just because something is above code's requirement doesn't mean it's not acceptable. So that's what I work with. Is better than code is what I would prefer to do in almost all cases. So we're going to get this up to being right at level, and we'll continue on. Okay, good stuff. Now we, as a result of leveling this floor, know that the entire stack that I've got here needs to come up. And unfortunately, while I'd like to be able to just rebuild this as it sits and take this out, there's too much weight here. So now that we know that we are a ½ inch off all throughout the center, but not over here, we've got to lift the middle of this floor up about ½ inch. So I'm going to get a 4x6 that's 10 feet long, and we will just literally jack this puppy up on a 4x6. 4x6 will be able to take all the weight of the entire ceiling easily, and we'll use a 12-ton jack. I would estimate this ceiling probably weighs, this section here weighs somewhere in the order of 2,000 pounds, maybe. So we'll have a large margin for lifting capacity. And again, we're not trying to push it up. We're just trying to take the bow out of the middle so that we can get everything level, coming all the way across. And hopefully on the day that we do that, it's not so hot. Did I mention it's hot? Oh, man. So I don't know what was on that before this shut down and overheated. Corey, you're gonna have to edit this. Yeah. We've got quite the span here. So my thought now is to take, instead of taking all of this out, because everything on this side is in pretty good shape, and it's sistered across right here, if they don't interfere with me being 16 on center when I put the 2x8s back in on this side and this side at the same time, I'm just gonna leave them. And I'm going to put a brace underneath, and I'll have double span support on both directions with 2 sets of boards for no additional cost, because I'm already putting a brace underneath there. No additional depth, because there are the same thickness as the boards I'm going to put in, and no real additional problems when I go to support my center spans, because those are already almost where they're supposed to be. So I don't see leaving those boards as being a problem with anything other than just pulling the nails for them. That said, I keep running into unexpected problems. That's the nature of a house remodel. I feel like I'm standing in a barn right now with everything pulled out from the ceiling, and it's just cathedralish in here, like an old time, country church, something like that, with the section over the pulpit and where the pews would be. And yeah, it's hot, and my mind's kind of getting away from me. Let's get back to work. Okay. All right, we got 8. That's pretty consistent. Well, I don't love that. So that means that if I do it the way I was planning, we're going to end up with another bridge directly over the gap. So we're going to tear this out over here. That's not gonna cut it. Down 2. What a mess. Okay, so our next thing we're going to do is, instead of starting in this corner over here and going across with a 14-footer, I'm instead going to start right in the center and put 7 feet to each side. And that will, actually that might not work either. Give me just a second, let me think about this. Oh, that feels good. That feels real good. The breeze just came in this window. The wind's finally come around to where it can come in one window and go out the other, which is very, very nice. I now wish I'd gotten 18-footers, but I didn't. So that's 8 feet to the center. And I'd like to not have any more joints on top of joints. We're going to cut this 14-footer to an 8-inch, true 8-inch dimension. And we're going to fill in onto this pressure-treated area where we've had wood damage before. And we're going to have moisture continuing to come through. And that is going to significantly reinforce everything that was cut out before and give us a stable platform to be able to attach to that's sitting right down onto the foundation. And that'll put us almost exactly in the center of this block, which is lovely, lovely. And then we can put all the weight right down on the center of the block, and we can consider what we want to do with this wall, because all of this will need to be redone. And I'm strongly inclined simply to block this out and probably have a sacrificial 4x6 running around here for a while. We'll take all the weight off this, take this entire section of wall out, and just redo it. It's got water damage here, up there at the top, several spots here where the window was leaking while it was open, while it was abandoned. It's not long-term structural leakage, and there's not long-term structural leakage anywhere here except for what happened when it was unoccupied. Remember, kids, for some reason houses like people in them. So it's something to do with maintenance. Crazy. All right, let's get to it. I've got this the wrong way around. I've got this the wrong way around. So let's flip it. What we've got is this bottom board in a couple of spots is cupped up at the lip. So we're not actually lifting the wall, we're actually pushing the board down. Still a challenge though. And I don't really want to break the wall. I think if we take 1/4 of an inch off from there to accommodate that rise, this will fit. And then we can pry the board down. Yeah, let's give that a try. Yeah, we'll give that a try. Wait a minute. Bridge that and come up that lip. And we do want to bridge that. Yeah, I know, I'm making it harder on myself. I could just skip most of this, but dang it. I don't want to skip. I want to be right. My right. Also, do you have okay. Sorry about that. I thought I was talking to you guys. All right, so I ran into a bit of a problem right here. I've got a board that I cannot get to that has nails in it from the other side. So all I did was take and cut a 45 bevel here on the top of this, halfway through the board. So I've got 3/4 of an inch on the top from here to here, and all of the rest of it is flush to the board. That should be more than enough bearing considering it already was only sitting on, 1.5, and now it's got 3/4 of an inch more, creating a better box for it. Should just be positive. But we got to run all the screws back in now. All right. Well, it looks like my battery's just about dead.